So good to see everybody. My name is Stephen Petrus. I'm with the Chicago Safe Ambassadors. Safe Ambassadors are the CDOT, Chicago Department of Transportation engagement and outreach team. SAFE is an acronym, stands for Streets Out for Everybody, and it's our mission to make sure people can get around the city however they choose to get there. We do things like teach free bike lessons, we teach traffic and pedestrian safety in schools, and we get out there in the community and just engage with people about CDOT projects of all kinds. All right, so quick agenda here. First, we're going to have a little bit of an opening. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going to go down today. We're going to go over a couple of updates from CDOT. Romina, who is our Romina Castillo, she's our Director of Outreach and Engagement. She's going to go ahead and lead that section up. We're going to have some updates from CDOT about ongoing projects. And we're going to have a collaboration discussion where we open up the conversation for everybody here to engage. And then at the very end, we're going to have some announcements for you all. All right. So our goal today, the goal of the Chicago Mobility Collaborative is to establish a forum for meaningful participation where collaboration is encouraged, learning is facilitated, partnerships are fostered, and where Chicagoans have a voice in the decision-making that impacts them. We're going to have a couple of guidelines here. So we ask that everybody please listen actively to understand each other's views and perspective. We're going to have one person speak at a time, so we all get our chance to be heard. We're going to seek clarity to avoid making assumptions. We want everybody to be accountable for their words and the impact that has on their community. And just remember, your experience is valuable and unique, and it's always worth sharing. And please provide constructive criticism of ideas and projects, not of individuals. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Romina Castillo, our Director of Engagement and Outreach here.
Great. Thank you, Stephen, and welcome everyone to our Chicago Mobility Collaborative meeting, the first one of 2026. I appreciate all being here. I know there's been some chat. I look at the chat. So yes, I want to acknowledge I had some issues with our email blast and the link that was there. So if you know if anyone who's trying to join, please, if you can text them or communicate with them that the link, the right link, or the good link is on the website. So you can find it on our website with the Chicago Mobility Collaborative and the Department of Transportation. So I would appreciate that. And again, apologies for that issue. I'm going to, well, first of all, for all those who don't know me, again, my name is Romina Castillo. I'm the Director of Outreach and Engagement at CDOT. I've been at CDOT almost for 4 years. I've been involved with this forum that long and even longer with earlier iterations of this forum. So it's great to see a lot of familiar faces and names on this call, and I appreciate all your partnerships and time and collaborations throughout the years. So we wanted to, with a new year, a new CMC series of meetings for 2026, we wanted to start by reintroducing the department, what we do, who we are, and the type of work that we oversee in the city of Chicago. And I also wanted to touch on the key responsibilities and functions of the department as a way to set the tone for the rest of this conversation today and this evening, but also throughout the rest of our CMC meetings. It's great when as Chicagoans, we have a clear understanding of how the city works and how the departments work together or sometimes don't work together, right? And how we can keep moving the city forward. Alrighty. So CDOT oversees one of the largest and most complex transportation networks in the nation. From streets and sidewalks to bridges and bike lanes, our work touches every single neighborhood. And transportation connects Chicagoans with the meaningful destinations in their lives. This is the reason why the department sees streets as resources for delivering more equitable, sustainable, and thriving future for our city. And on your screen, we have a list of the scope of what the department oversees and manages. And just to read a few, we have over 4,100 miles of streets, 7,400 miles of sidewalks, 150 miles of rivers and tributaries, which sometimes you don't uh, connect associate with CDOT, and we'll go over this in a few minutes. 3,000 signalized intersections, over 500 miles of bikeways, and that number keeps growing every year. And we also manage the largest bike share network in the country by geography. And all that is implemented, managed, directed, designed by over 1,300 dedicated staff working at CDOT. And wanted to provide an overview of how the department is organized. We always talk about how extensive or large it is, but I wanted to also show you how that organizations and how it is organized within our department. So at the head, we have the commissioner, and currently we have an acting commissioner. This is our acting commissioner, Craig Turner, who is serving at the moment. Commissioners are appointed by the mayor. So we are, still waiting to hear from the mayor's office on if there's any appointment or if Acting Commissioner Turner can continue serving in this role. Under the commissioner, we have a first deputy commissioner, and then we have three managing deputy commissioners. And under them, we have 10 different deputy commissioners, and they manage and oversee 10 different divisions. We say that we have 11 different divisions because we count the commissioner's office as its own division. So just to name a few of those divisions, we have Division of Citywide Services, and that's where our micromobility programs and projects fall under. And we have Kyle Pepin on the call who will go over a few updates on micromobility. We have Division of Project Development that manages and designs a lot of our bike lanes, streetscapes, and some that kind of projects. We'll also provide an update on those type of projects later this evening. Division of Electrical Operations, overseeing, street lights and all our signalized intersections as well. Division of Engineering, which will cover a few updates on regarding that division as well. And this presentation, also wanted to point out, it has linked to all the information that you'll find here and learn here today. So you'll be able to see a full organizational chart linked in this slide. This is a very, very simplified version of the whole department. Oh, I'm sorry. Great. So what does CDOT do? We, the department is responsible for the planning, design, and construction of Chicago streets, sidewalks, alleys, and innovative approaches to keep all Chicagoans safe in the right way. We also manage the right of way and the complex network of infrastructure in Chicago and maintain surface transportation in good repair. It includes pavement resurfacing, pothole patching, repairs, bridge maintenance, and bridge maintenance to ensure safety and accessibility for all. So a little of the designing and building that we do. On your screen, again, you have a list of the different things that we design and build. Things like trails, streetscapes, train stations, which I wanted to point out, that is something that we work very closely with the Chicago Transit Authority, who manages our public transit system. But since the train stations are in the right of way, that's something that falls also under CDOT. So we are the ones who can also design and manage those projects. The Green Line Daemon Station is one example of one of those stations that was recently completed. And right now we're working on another station on State and Lake, which you probably have heard, and we also provide updates later today. So that is a list of the things that builds the projects that we build. But did you also know that we also build safe pedestrian infrastructure around schools? CDOT is implementing a comprehensive neighborhood level effort surrounding schools by building complementary safety improvements to create a better, more walkable environment. CDOT has implemented this strategy in 10 schools, and we are hoping to increase that number moving forward. Schools selected for improvements are based on crash data, community input, and street context for graded improvement impact. And some of the infrastructure highlights that are included in this type of projects are curb bump outs, raised crosswalks, and refuge islands. And again, once this presentation is going to be shared on our website, and you'll be able to click on the link that will redirect you to our page. And there is a map with a comprehensive overview of each one of the location of each one of those schools. So you get a better idea of where we are working as far as improving the school safety, the safety around schools. So managing, so that's another of our functions as CDOT. One of the department's key responsibilities is to manage the right of way. CDOT enforces regulations for construction and the public right of way, including permitting and use of the public way, utility coordination, excavation oversight, and public way construction rules and coordination. Again, on your screen, we have a few other examples of what the department manages. Things like traffic lights, clean transportation, micromobility, transportation policy, street signs, our pedway, and also our waterways through the harbors, Chicago River, and in any of its tributaries. And did you know that we also manage the City of Chicago's Green Industry Job Training Program, known as Green Corp Chicago? Green Corp Chicago is the City of Chicago's Green Industry Employment Program with on-the-job training for individuals with barriers to employment. Green Corp's Chicago promotes environmental stewardship and improves the quality of life in Chicago by establishing, maintaining, and restoring natural and public spaces that are safe, healthy, and sustainable. The outcome is healthier, safer, and more engaged communities and individuals who are prepared for employment through practical field experiences. And Green Corp Chicago is a public-private partnership between the Chicago Department of Transportation and WRD Environmental. We're also, if you click on this website, right now we're in the process of hiring or bringing, the application is open right now for individuals interested in participating in this green industry job training program. So just wanted to point that out. Alrighty, maintaining. CDOT maintains surface infrastructure in a state of good repair to be functional and serve the public as intended. Some of what CDOT maintains includes our bridges, street signs, alleys, sidewalks, landscape medians, which it's also something that not everybody knows. You sometimes might see a plate that says CDOT, and that indicates that that's a space that we maintain in the right of way. They're the medians that usually in downtown you'll find them with the tulips, very beautiful flowers during the spring, early summer. There's also mediums with full-grown trees in different parts of the city. And another space that we maintain, green space that we maintain are historic boulevards. And did you know that CDOT is responsible for more than 300 bridges and viaducts structures, including 37 movable bridges along the Chicago and Calumet rivers? Um, and something that I personally found very interesting when I learned this is that our commissioner, the Department of Transportation, is also the harbor master of the city of Chicago. CDOT has jurisdiction over the Lake Michigan harbors, the Chicago River, the Calumet River, and any of its tributaries. So I think that's a much better title for the commissioner that I think that I really like. Um, and CDOT works with the Chicago Park District, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and Illinois Department of Natural Resources to reconstruct deteriorated revetment structures along the Lake Michigan shoreline. So just to be clear, we manage really the shoreline, the infrastructure along the shoreline of of Lake Michigan. Alrighty, so we're getting at the end of this first section. So something that we don't do as a department, we wanted to clarify a few things. It takes many resources to run a city and provide the needed resources in a timely manner. This is one of the reasons why there exist multiple departments and agencies that oversee different functions and services. CDOT collaborates closely across city departments to complete projects and advance efforts. So it is understandable if there is confusion on specific initiatives or services that might seem to be under the jurisdiction of CDOT, but in fact fall under the responsibilities of other departments. So on your screen, we have three different examples. The operations of public transit is the responsibility of the Chicago Transit Authority. CTA. And here on our call, we're always grateful to have our CTA friends with us. So you'll hear from Jason later this evening. Um, CTA is the one who oversees the public transit network and operations, not CDOT. We work on the surface where the buses operate, but we don't manage the operation of the buses. Another example is managing the snow plows. The snow clearing on our streets falls under the Department of Streets and Sanitation. So they are the ones that operate that service. And I also wanted to provide a clarification to know this is where it starts getting confusing. So streets and sanitations are the ones clearing our streets, our roads of snow. But the part of CETA, the Department of Transportation, we're the ones responsible for clearing the snow of protected bike lanes. That's coordination, very closely coordination with the streets and sanitation, but we are the ones who operate the smaller snow blowers on our protected bike lanes. And the last example to provide here is issuing parking infractions. This is conducted by the Department of Revenue. And as you all know, parking meters are managed by a private company. So that is the last example we wanted to provide. And you'll get a break from me a little bit, and I'm gonna open it up to our group here and everyone. This was meant to be a brief overview and introduction to what the Department of Transportation does and what we don't do. But now we want to hear from you. There's a few representatives from the department and see if you have any questions, additional questions on our functions, services, and responsibilities. So to transition into this part of a more of a dialogue and questions Q&A, I will ask if you can use the raise hand option in your Zoom. If for some reason you can't find it, feel free to also just chime in. Or also use the chat. So we have here Stephen and Edwin helping me look at the chat, and who's raising their hand is hard for me when I'm sharing my screen. But this is your time. I don't know if there's any questions, again, on functions, services, and responsibilities for CDOT.
We have a question from the chat, Romina.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Dom, in regards to the safety improvements we've made around schools recently, he'd like to know if the hope is that we do that for all schools in the city or if it's more limited in scope.
I mean, I can fully speak, again, we have 10 different divisions. Our ultimate, our North Star is we want every school to have those improvements, right? I think that the trickier part is how we're facing them in with limited resources and the magnitude of, how as many schools around the city and the complexity of the locations where those schools are located. So to answer, the short answer is yes, our ultimate goal is for every school to feel safer. And then I would not be able to speak on more details of the how what is the timeline or how we're facing that in over time and also the specifics on the different budgets or resources that we're using. Right now, my understanding is that they're somewhat limited, so we're leveraging what we have with bonds and menu funding and a few other buckets of funding. But we're also working closely to have a more comprehensive approach and more sustainable funding to be able to reach that goal. And I see Alex Labi hand raised.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
So my question is, how does CDOT determine like capital projects? So like for instance, like Grant Park. So there's like three big capital projects. It's like a cap, and then it's like a pedestrianization, and then it's a like a tunnel for Lakeshore Drive. Like is that done through like CMAP or is that like an internal thing at CDOT? And yeah, and I have another question, but that,
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Romina, I can jump in on that one.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and apologies, the angle here isn't great because I'm using my phone. But hi, everyone. Mary Nicole. I'm a deputy commissioner for the Division of Planning and Policy. And Alex, good question. So I think you're referencing the recently released Grant Park plan. And so this is where the fun government division comes in. So Grant Park is actually managed by the Park District. And so they are the folks who worked with local community members to come up with that plan. And very similar to many long-range plans, they are not fully designed or vetted projects. It's just generally a vision for what Grant Park could look like in the future. And then to tie it together with what CDOT's role would look like is, there's a variety of different ways that this can go. So every, there's just infrastructure needs. So there's been a lot of news recently about several of the bridge closures, and that just has to do with the length of infrastructure and when things need to be replaced. It also deals with what federal funding opportunities are available. So under the Biden administration, one of the reasons those bridges were able to get replaced at the time they were able to is they provided over $100 million to the city for some of those bridge replacements. And then, every year during the city's budget process, there is a vote that happens on the city's bond and how much the city wants to borrow. And so that also gives CDOT a sense of like, okay, here are a variety of different projects. Here's the money you have in different categories. And we have through our 11 different divisions, there's a few of those that focus on engineering and planning work. And we use things like the mobility and economic hardship index to figure out, where do we need to prioritize certain investments. And then as well as there's also something, a capital improvement program that happens at the ward level. And so there's a lot of different layers. And then I'll just, politics and is also a part of this. So for example, you're seeing this really public debate over the Bears stadium, and so if the mayor's like, hey, it's a priority city departments to keep the bears in the city of Chicago. And then a bunch of different departments, planning department, parks, et cetera, will come together and figure out, what would that huge capital improvement plan look like? So long-winded answer and a lot layered in there, but it's somewhat complex and a lot of different funding sources make it that way.
We have a few more questions from the chat here. So Jen would like to ask, who is the best person to contact regarding the Logan Square Traffic Circle project?
And the question is just like general or specific on the infrastructure, or I guess.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Oh, hi,
I,
Jen.
I sort of try to live by the mantra of seek first to understand. And I have some very specific questions about design, especially related to bicycle circulation. So I would just love to talk with somebody before I form my full opinion.
Okay, so that would be to understand the design and like how the design came to be or the specifics. Okay,
And
yeah,
especially through the lens of bicycle circulation.
through the bicycle circulation. Okay, yeah, so that might be so the project manager, and I can get you in touch with the project manager, but that might be a conversation with multiple people. So it would be the project manager who is under engineering, and we might have to bring someone from our bikeways since they coordinated on the designs. But yeah, so
I'll
it
follow up with you.
yeah, you can follow it with me. So David Miller, I don't know if his name is listed on the project website, but if not, we can follow up. So we're keeping track of the questions, Jen. So
Okay.
if you want to email me directly, then or just include your email in the of direct chat, then we can just follow up.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, next in the chat. Does the city plow any sidewalks? And if they did, would that fall under CDOT or streets and sanitation? And there's a follow-up question to that, which is, who is liable if something happens on a badly maintained or damaged sidewalk?
Mhm.
I can take that one too, Rowena. Hi, everyone. I didn't see who asked the question. Who am I speaking to?
That would be Noah Wright was the original question.
Okay, cool. Hi, Noah. So Noah, you might be familiar with the Plow the Sidewalks effort that was led by several different advocacy groups and Alderman Laspada. And ultimately, City Council decided not to move forward with that effort. I believe the main concern was funding due to the city's ongoing budget shortage. But what the mayor directed CDOT and the Streets of Sanitation, Department of Streets and Sanitation to do was to come up with a pilot. And that was also very informed by advocates and Chairman Laspada. And it would have been a joint effort between the two departments. Anytime a city service is requested, we kind of have to think about who has the resources and the people power to complete it. And so that was what was pitched back to city council and ultimately did not get approval. So currently the businesses are, and this is in city code if you're interested in geeking out about it and reading the exact language, but it is the responsibility of essentially residences. It's the responsibility of the property owner to make sure that sidewalks stay clear within a certain time frame of the last snow falling. Within commercial areas, it's the responsibility of the business that's operating there. And then to the question of liability, that is I think if you're just asking about legal liability, that is the city of Chicago, is the person that, if there's a lawsuit, that's typically who is named in the lawsuit, I believe. But I'm not a lawyer, so don't quote me on that.
Thanks, Mary. Next question is from Ellen Partridge. would like to know if CDOT decides where speed bumps are located.
Yes, I think speed bumps are also part of um, in our tool as part of our toolkit to slow down traffic and make them safer. So yes, there is usually a traffic study and analysis of the flow of traffic in any given street, and then our engineers and team determines what are the right tools or implementations that can be installed on a street to to make it safer for anyone. So yes.
Great, thanks, Romina. Um, Sort of related, Kaylin Luciano would like to know how CDOT prioritizes what traffic studies to do when they're requested by the ward offices.
My understanding is in that it's they are added into a queue, so the traffic studies are conducted as we receive them. Um, we Our traffic study team, our engineers conducting it, is very lean. And that's something that not everybody knows. It's not like we have 100 um, engineers working at it on our traffic studies, and that's unfortunate. So that is a lot of the issues why it takes longer periods of time for them to complete them. Right now is, they just get in a queue, they're completed. There has to be a way to prioritize them, and also I'll direct to Mary if she has more specific information. Again, she mentioned this MOBEC index, our Mobility and Economic Hardship Index, where that is our main I guess standard and reference on how we prioritize any type of project. So when the number of traffic studies, they continue growing, they start prioritizing based on where they're coming from and which wards and the proximity of like schools or other community centers. So Mary, I don't know if you have anything else to add on this more specific on traffic studies.
No, you said it right, Romina.
Okay. And we do have more to cover on the project updates. And also we'll leave some more time at the end of the meeting. Just want to make sure we keep moving. So maybe we have time to take one or two more, Stephen, if there's more questions.
Yeah, sure. So, oh, sorry, I lost it in the chat. I believe it was Carla Tejada. I hope I said that right. Would like to know who is the contact in CDOT working on freight and urban freight topics?
Hmm. So that would fall under our division of planning and policy. Um, we have a few planners. I guess it will depend of what the question is. So the contact could be me. You can just to get started. So my email will be at the end of this presentation. I can also just drop it on the chat. And then you can just, send your question and I'll forward it to the right staff.
Great, thanks, Romina. And last question from Alex Thrush. Is there any update on the protected intersection at South Wabash Avenue and 18th Street? Soon after it was constructed, some of the protection was removed.
Hmm. I don't have the latest on that specific intersection, to be honest. I'm also, looking at Mary if she had any more information. Um, if we will keep track of all the questions and the ones that we are not able to answer today, and um, we'll make sure to send any updates. Um, Mary, any other specifics?
Yeah, no, I think this has been playing out in the news. So that might be what folks have seen. I believe this is this section in Alder Dow's ward.
Mm.
and that there were some slight modifications to it, but we can get more information from our Complete Streets team and see exactly where that is. You know, as you all know, when it gets so cold and snowy, a lot of the construction and just work and the actual public way slows down pretty dramatically. So things can take longer during this time of year.
Mhm. Yep, thank you. Yeah, so if there were more questions about the specific sections, if you don't mind just adding them to the chat, we'll try to loop back at the end if we have more time, but I want to allow more time for the next sections. And then if we don't have time to answer them, we can follow up. I'll try to include those responses in our notes from this meeting. And if you want to follow up after that, you know, my email would be included in this presentation, so you can also elevate your questions directly via email. Alrighty. So just to keep moving, I'm sorry, I'm a little lost in here. Alrighty. Great. So we have a few CDOT updates. And kind of like four different sections of the updates. I'll provide a few updates on Complete Streets. We have our 2025 year-end review. All the information, again, it is on our website, so you can have the links. So you can just click on the right links and get that more information. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone from our Complete Streets team who was able to join today. So again, if there specific questions, please add those to the chat and we'll follow up accordingly. We have some updates on capital projects, and then you'll get a little break from me again, and you'll hear from Kyle from our Citywide Services division, providing an update on shared micromobility. And then you'll hear from Jason Meter from our CTA, talking on our bus priority corridor study, and he has information on what to expect in the next few weeks and months. Great. So our Complete Streets 2025 year in review, as I mentioned, has been published on our website, and you can get all the information and on that site. Overall, we are seeing reductions and on a record reduction on traffic fatalities and also serious injuries. I wanted to point out, I know we're saying 2025, and the year that you see on the screen is 2024. Just wanted to, mention that it takes a long time to review the data that we receive from the Chicago Police Department, and then analyze it also with the data from the Illinois Department of Transportation. So there's a lag on that analysis. But what the latest that we had is 2024 is the data from 2024. I'm sorry, from 2025 is the data from 2024. So that's what you see. So there was no typos. It is the data from 2024. So overall reduction on fatalities and serious injuries. Also decreasing crash severity by 2% based on the final data of 2024. And that is specifically for traffic safety, our traffic safety highlights. And we also have up on our website our final report from 2025 of traffic fatalities. So I'm highlighting the overall, the final numbers, and by final, again, these are CPD provisional. And before continuing, I want to take a minute and acknowledge that, we're talking about lives and individuals, and Chicagoans. They are not as statistics. Still, every, one life is one too many, and we're working very hard to eliminate that completely. So want to know that and acknowledge that these are lives lost and families impacted, and we're trying to provide the data that we have collected and for you to see by the numbers what we have accomplished and the work that we do to reduce those fatalities. So again, I'm highlighting in yellow the 2025, so the complete provisional data from January to December 2025. There's also a specific the month of December on this final report. Um, and you can check and review the comparisons to 2024, our 5-year average and 10-year average. So again, we've seen a reduction of overall fatalities and serious injuries, and you can review the full report on our website as well. Great. As far as bikeways highlights, Chicago's cycling network has been growing for the past few years, and last year we reached our milestone of over 500 miles of bikeways completed. And 43% of those are categorized as low stress. Also, CDOT installed over 12 miles of protected bike lanes in 2025, which means that now we have expanded the network of protected bike lanes. We're up to 7 miles citywide. And also, CDOT installed 14 miles of neighborhood greenways, expanding it to 85 miles citywide total. And neighborhood greenways make up nearly 20% of the city's cycling network. Our neighborhood greenways are those low-stressed bikeways that connect within our neighborhoods. Our Complete Streets team has been working pretty closely with community partners to expand and to create a network that connects to the destinations that people want to go to and from in their own network, but also thinking on how those how to create better connections between neighborhoods, from low stress neighborhood greenways to a different one. And now on a few transit project highlights. Again, we have Jason Meter, and he could also answer a few more specific questions on our bus priority corridors and a few others. But I just wanted to highlight 3 of those projects. We have our 79th Street transit improvements. These are between State Street and Cottage Grove. And this is the goal of this project is to improve traffic efficiency, but also pedestrian safety along this is a high crash corridor. So this is work that is prioritized because of the high crash data that has been collected for the past few years. It includes bus boarding, the installation of bus bulbs to facilitate a better and more efficient onboarding, offboarding, and also a queue jump lane on Martin Luther King Drive, which means that it allows that gives a head start to the bus at the intersection to allow the bus to move before the rest of the traffic moves along that intersection. Also, we have the Chicago Avenue bus lane. This is a project to focus on closing the gap between the previous bus lanes that have been built along the Chicago corridor, which means that now this whole corridor expands on Chicago Avenue from Grant Avenue to Michigan Avenue. And finally, there's the bus priority island installations that they've been happening citywide, and now we have over 120 bus boarding islands that have been installed since 2024. And similar to curb and bump outs, these boarding islands increase visibility and reduce crossing distances, which means that it allows, again, for more efficient onboarding, offboarding, in a safer way for pedestrians. Great. So moving on to capital projects. We have some bridge work in CTA, a CTA station that is currently being built. The station is a state and lake station, so if you commute or come to downtown often, you may have seen or heard that the station is currently closed for work that is happening there. This will be a complete redesign of the stations, which is one of the busiest stations in our network to improve safety and accessibility. It would also create a gateway, another gateway into downtown, and the estimated time to be completed, the project to be completed is 2029. So there will still be a few years between now and then. The other one is a Lake Street Bridge. This is a rehabilitation project of a 109-year-old bridge. So definitely there's old infrastructure that we are making it safer and updating. The construction is expected to be completed in January of 2028. Another bridge and viaduct project is the one on Chicago and Halsted. Again, it's one of those big projects that you probably heard about in the news and in other media. This is a whole reconstruction project, so this will be a brand new bridge to be built and installed over the river. And again, it will improve safety and accessibility and multimodal connectivity as well. This one is to be completed earlier, so the end of this year. And again, we have links to all the projects included in each one of those highlights. Alrighty, so on capital projects, still we have some more specific neighborhood improvements that the CDOT has been working on. One of them is the Division Street streetscape between Dearborn and State Street. And this project consists of a few elements of design and infrastructure, as well as an opportunities to improve or add the placemaking aspects. And the goal is to create a more unified, safe, walkable, and attractive commercial destination along Division Street. And some improvements include roadway geometry, newer, wider paver sidewalks. Those are always more visible and create, again, that aspect of placemaking on corridors, tree plantings and landscaping and site furnishing. So this project is in the last stages of completion. The other project we wanted to highlight is the Roseland Corridor Streetscape from Michigan Avenue from 110 to 116th Street. This specific streetscape is being coordinated with CTA, the CTA Red Line Extension Project. So efforts of improving and providing a more comprehensive improvement in connectivity and in the area. So some of the improvements and more specific improvements include new street lighting, ADA ramps, curb extensions, tree plantings, and a community gateway identifier. So community gateways identifiers are something similar to what you see in Chinatown or Humboldt Park. They're usually over the right of way, and they're big markers to celebrate the community in those neighborhoods. And another one, which this one is very interesting, is a different type of projects that we, usually see from CDOT. This is a plaza improvement in Ashland, between Ashland and Clark. So this project will close Catalpan Street to traffic and construct a permanent plaza between Clark Street and Ashland Avenue. And the vision or the goal for this plaza is to create a sense of place, again, placemaking, support local economy, and provide opportunities for community gatherings. In some improvements will include pedestrian light poles, bike racks, seating areas, furnishing, tree plantings, and so forth. So this would be very interesting. Okay, and another more specific on also that touches on safety, pedestrian safety specifically, is our efforts to install more accessible pedestrian signals or APS. And these are traffic signals um, that emit a sound to communicate to pedestrians on the timing for crossing a street. And as part of this effort, CDOT is committed to work closely with our accessibility community. We are coordinating with Mayor's Office People with Disabilities, and there is an advisory committee created to support more equitable distribution and prioritization of the installations of the APS. You can also, there is a website where you can request new APS, track installation requests, and also request APS maintenance. So we are trying to communicate and elevate this new program to the public. Ooh, alrighty. So this is when I get to sit back a little bit and we'll hear from Kyle on some highlights regarding shared micromobility.
Thanks, Romina. And yes, you have been talking a lot, so I'm glad. Take a sip of water. Glad to take over for a little while. I am Kyle Pepin, coordinating planner for micromobility. So we manage CDOT's infrastructure around shared micromobility, namely the city-owned Divvy system. And we also provide other services like bike rack installation, the Bike Chicago program, and we monitor Lime's scooters in the city of Chicago. They are a private business operating under a license. And very quickly on this slide, I just wanted to highlight the photo here, which is Acting Commissioner Turner and Mayor Johnson at the opening of the Milwaukee bike lanes. And that just shows the cooperation that it takes between all of us to make shared micromobility successful. Because without a safe place to ride your bike, which is the work of our Complete Streets team, and without folks teaching how to ride a bike, which is something our safe ambassadors do, Divvy wouldn't be a useful service, right, for our community. And you can see the mayor and the commissioner on Divvies here. And also, you get two for the price of one in presenting today because my colleague Raquel is on the call as well, and she is the one who actually monitors and compiles all the data around ridership, and so she's going to talk through the statistics on your screen here.
Hi everyone, Raquel Corchado here. I'm sorry my camera's not working, but I am the program director here at CDOT for micromobility data. So I work with different programs such as Divvy that has scooters, bikes, e-bikes as well. As Kyle mentioned, the shared the business license for scooters for this line, and then other projects as well, such as Smart Streets. PDDs and other emerging technologies pilots that I help support. So this year was our highest year in ridership, both with Divvy with 6.8 million rides. That is the highest year ever in terms of ridership. Our peak month was in August, where we had over 990,000 rides. We're sure to meet that 1 million goal next year. So that'll be exciting to have a month with over 1 million trips. And Lime as well. This was the highest year for ridership in terms of Lime with 6.1 million. So in total, fiscal year of 2025 had a total of 12.9 million rides with both systems. In terms of Divvy, that's a 5% growth in ridership from 2024 to 2025. And in terms of shared micromobility in general, that represents a total of 17% growth. So there is a lot of a lot of usage of both systems, and it continues to keep growing year over year. And yeah, we can go to the next slide. Yeah, Kyle, I'll pass it on to you in terms of stations.
Sure. So we had a very busy year adding new equipment to the Divvy system. So if you don't know, you can either rent a uh, Divvy device, either a bike or a scooter, from a station, or sometimes they are free locked in the right of way. But stations are the most convenient and most reliable way to find a device. We have found that both from user experience and uh, from monitoring trip data. So we installed 140 new infill stations and expansion stations throughout the city of Chicago. That's more than 2,000 docks. A dock is the place where you park the bike. Um, Six of those are densified stations. That's the photo on the bottom right of your screen there. Uh, those stations fit 50% more devices in the same footprint. So, because the docks are staggered, you can get six per plate instead of four. And then another place where Chicago is really leading all of North America is in charging stations. We have 13 new stations last year, in addition to those that were installed in previous years, that charge devices while they are docked. So this eliminates emissions because you don't have to swap batteries. It means more e-bikes are available because they can charge in dock instead of sitting dead. And it's fewer trips for our operators. So in the end, that lowers costs for everyone, right? Um, as part of our work, Lyft, the company that operates bike share, or I mean that operates car share, also operates our bike share system. So the city owns Divvy, but Lyft operates it for us. Uh, they pay us a fee every year. As part of that, we invested $3 million back into Divvy in 2025. Uh, and we focused on affordability in addition to that equipment that I mentioned earlier. So we froze membership costs for renewal at $143. 9,200 Chicagoans took advantage of that. Uh, Also, if you were a new member or your membership had lapsed, there was a special introductory rate of $99, and over 5,500 people took advantage of that. We also removed unlock fees, so that's the flat fee to rent a device in equity priority areas, which are historically disinvested communities on the south and west side. And we also capped e-bike trip costs between 30 and 45 minutes. That would be for folks who are maybe just a little bit outside of the highest use zone so that they have the predictability of knowing that it's going to be a set price. Say you're riding in, from a little bit further, Edgewater or maybe like Avondale. We want to make sure that you have the same predictability in pricing as someone who's maybe in closer to the city center on your trips. And then there are also constant technology updates. There were new features added to e-bikes, both classic mode, which is where the bike operates like a pedal bike if there are no pedal bikes available. And you also pay the pedal bike price. So again, also adds an affordability element. And also there's a pause feature that allows riders to stop a ride. So say you need to use the restroom, you are running in to pick up a delivery, you can keep your reservation and pause so that you are not charged while you run that errand. Next slide, please. Um, so I see the question in the chat, by the way, and I can just answer it. The current contract ends in 2028, and the ultimately City Council makes the decision on whether we renew for another extension or not. And uh, so some other things that are that we worked on over the last year outside of Divvy. There was enhanced sidewalk riding detection technology and parking compliance so that your device must be locked to an appropriate structure. Um, and again, we're looking at accessibility, we're looking at pedestrian safety and making those improvements. Uh, I mentioned bike parking earlier. CDOT installed over 1,000 new bike racks. And we have maintained uh, low-cost options, the Divvy for Everyone program, which offers $5 annual memberships, and the link to sign up is there. And Lime also runs an equity program that has an automatic discount in the equity priority areas I mentioned earlier, as well as a 50% discount for qualifying folks. And that is it.
Yeah, I can quickly answer the question in the chat. There's about 2,380 folks enrolled in D4E right now. And in terms of like for Lime, it's about 42% of the trips start in an equity priority area, which is in the West and South Side communities that have a 50% discount as well.
Alrighty, we're going to pause here. There are a lot of questions in the chat, so we just want to elevate a few questions. So we'll have before we jump into bus priority corridor information. So Jason, just hang in there a little longer. We'll come back to you. So we'll start kind of elevating some of the questions. So I'm like trying to go back and find them. I don't know, Stephen, if you have some ready for us.
Yeah, I have them pulled up here. You're ready for them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So from Ellen Steinke, is there an update on the speed limit? Would it be possible to change the speed limit to 15 in residential areas? Right now, sometimes it goes from 20 miles an hour on a busy street and then up to 30 on a residential street.
So this is a much longer conversation, and there's a variety of different regulations in effect. So I would say some folks probably saw that there was a vote in, I forget what month it is now, they're all blurring together, but there was a vote in City Council to lower the speed limit down to 20 from 30 to 25 on residential streets. CDOT's fully in support of that, seeing data from other cities that saves lives both for drivers and folks outside of cars. But unfortunately, that vote did not pass City Council. So our understanding, and there's a variety of ways that could happen, for folks who do want to see that happen, there's a state legislative session that's happening now. The state could legislate that all, in all municipalities in the state that you can lowering the speed limit down to 25, and that would essentially make it a lot easier for CDOT to make it happen here in the city, because there's certain signage requirements that are required with these different speed limits. And then I think I believe it was Ellen was asking, seeing different speed limits on different routes. Some of those were divided into 50 wards, and sometimes those wards fit like puzzle pieces, and some alders are pushing to lower speed limits on certain routes. And so that's why you see that, but as well as in school zones and park zones, you'll see slower speed limits as well. But yeah, I would love to see the speed limit lowered citywide. I think it would be a beneficial impact on safety on our streets, but it will either take city council to act or the state house.
Thank you, Mary. Ryan Greenlaw asks if there are any plans for Stony Island.
I can speak to that too, and you might be referring to ongoing work and advocacy that's been happening there. So I can't speak to the Department of Planning and Development's plan offhand, but I would say CDOT received a earmark from Representative Jackson to do a study for the intersection at 79th and Stony Island, where you have some very tall off ramps and infrastructure there that really divide up the neighborhood. And so we're just in the beginning phases of setting that up. That will be a couple years that we're studying that. But what CDOT will be looking at is how can we redesign the roadway to make it more accessible for all transportation modes and to mitigate the harm that was caused by such huge road infrastructure getting put in the middle of neighborhoods.
Thanks, Mary. Neil asks, has CDOT been talking with the new IDOT director, Gia Biaggi, et al., to allow CDOT to make safety improvements to these dangerous and wide streets that divide up neighborhoods?
Happy to go again. The short answer is yes. She's all of our former bosses, but there's been ongoing conversations between CDOT and IDOT and how we can coordinate more efficiently on state routes. But yes, that's I know it's important to the secretary to make routes in the city safer and important to our leadership as well.
All right, thank you again, Mary. We had a question about, where is that? Oh, from Jen Kilgore. Is the Cortlandt Bridge now fully closed? I have not been there in a bit and am curious about the detour signage for non-driving folks.
I believe that the plan was to try and keep it open, the sidewalks open to pedestrians and cyclists until the spring, but we can, and it looks like Romina just put something in the chat. So do you have the definitive answer? Mm-hmm. But I was just going to say we can follow up and figure out what the current plan is.
Yeah, I posted it also because we'll continue updating this specific site on any updates regarding, detours or closing or street closures. So, Jen and everyone will I'll check with our engineering department and see if there's any updates that we should include here and check if it's up to date. So in here we see that one side will remain open until the winter. So that is the information. It's not specific clear if it's a side as a vehicular traffic and or pedestrian also. So we'll clarify that. Yeah, and we might have time just for one more questions. I want to make sure that we allow enough time for our next section.
All right. Question from Ellen. How can neighborhoods advocate for faster bus infrastructure? Because it tends to get a lot of pushback. Is there a way to combat misinformation and misunderstandings that bus lanes will slow down traffic and hurt businesses?
Well, I think
this might be a great transition to Jason, huh? But I'll just put in one note, just both on any safety improvements you want to see, or reliability of public transit. As a lot of CTA manages the bus system, but CDOT and your city council manage the public way. And so, reaching out to your alder office and letting them know that you're in support of those policies is incredibly impactful and important. But Romina, I'll hand the mic back over to you and perhaps a good transition over to Jason.
Yeah, I think you cover on our end, Mary, what it looks like. And then we'll just transition to our next section with Jason. And Jason, you are a co-host. If you want to share any slides, you can share your screen or, we can just leave it here, this background.
Thanks, Ermina. Yeah, I have a couple of slides to share, so
So
I'll
I'll stop sharing
bring
right
these
now.
up. All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to give a brief overview and update on the bus priority project that we're very excited to be working on in partnership with CDOT. My name is Jason Meter, Senior Manager of Strategic Planning at CTA and the project manager for this project. I know some of you have already heard about this study through some of our public outreach, but I'll give a quick overview of what we're doing. So this study is a major next step in implementing the Better Streets for Buses plan, which is a citywide framework plan developed by CTA and CDOT a few years ago to enhance the bus riding experience through infrastructure improvements to streets, sidewalks, traffic signals, which can be used to achieve faster and more reliable bus service and improved access and safer access to the bus stops with enhanced amenities. The map you see here shows the full Better Streets for Buses network in gray, which includes 17 corridors and 185 miles of Chicago streets. What the plan does not do is assign specific infrastructure enhancements to specific locations. So from these 17 corridors, we identified 5 shown in blue to study first in order to develop design concepts. These concepts will then be used to seek funding for implementation. Just these 5 corridors alone that we're studying first provide 80,000 daily bus rides, which is one reason why they were chosen first out of the 17, but also a combination of factors including like broad geographic coverage, ridership, and public support expressed during the development of the Better Streets for Buses plan. So just quickly touch on the type of potential improvements we're considering with this project. We're looking at bus lanes, sidewalk and crosswalk improvements, traffic signal upgrades, and upgraded bus stop amenities. CTA regularly works with CDOT to improve bus stop areas and incorporate bus priority elements into other streetscape projects to address pinch points, some of which Romina had up on the screen earlier. But this study goes beyond the day-to-day operations or more targeted infrastructure improvements. It's really about rethinking the streets entirely to support faster, more reliable bus service. So outcomes that we're looking for with this study is developing recommended design alternatives for each corridor that reflect community feedback and can be advanced further. Recommendations can vary by corridor and location along the corridor, and also in how robust they are, and can include everything up into BRT or bus rapid transit style designs, or more limited selection of bus priority features such as curbside lanes or bus bulbs, boarding islands, and signal improvements. So also, the project scope includes identifying paths to implementation and potential funding sources. So this could include pursuing corridor length projects end to end, as well as opportunities to add bus priority features during routine roadway resurfacing and other CDOT projects, such as streetscape work, and even bike infrastructure work. Incorporating bus priority elements into projects that are happening anyway could have little or no marginal cost to a project that's already funded through other means. It's just a matter of allocating the space and design to prioritize buses. So the public outreach, we're currently wrapping up the first of 3 planned rounds of public outreach for this project. So hopefully some of you were able to engage already, and if not, there's still a chance during this first round right now, which I'll get to in a little while. So during this first round, we're gathering community input on early design concepts, and the main goal is to better understand how residents and different communities view the trade-offs involved in bus priority infrastructure, like the potential reduction of street parking in exchange for more reliable bus service, or perhaps reallocation of a travel lane for a bus lane. So after incorporation of all the public feedback we receive and some initial analysis we'll do as far as traffic modeling, we'll come back to the community this fall and share refined design concepts and do another round of community feedback to gather that input of what works best in different communities. And then the designs we share at that point will reflect what we've heard during this round of engagement. Then in early 2027, after incorporating what we hear in the second round, we'll publicly share the final recommendations. So I'll share an example in a moment, but before getting to that, the way that we're framing it now is to consider how each concept alternative impacts street design priorities such as bus speed and reliability, pedestrian experience and safety, experience at the bus stop, waiting for the bus, access for turning onto cross streets, number of travel lanes for cars, and street parking impacts as well. Some of the design concepts would require a shift in how street space is allocated, so it's important to understand what is most important for each community. For example, in one stretch, parking might be really important in a commercial district, and in another, you really want to see as many pedestrian safety improvements as possible if it's a dangerous high crash area. But I will note that most, if not all of the improvements alternatives being considered have a net positive improvement to the pedestrian experience, safety, and accessibility. So the type of bus priority treatments possible at a given location through the lens of this project is largely based on how wide the street is. And we're talking about the curb to curb width. We all know that sidewalk space is very precious, and in Chicago, most of the right of way is built up to the private property. So rather than talking about widening roads for long stretches, each street was categorized by its existing curb to curb width, and then design concepts were developed to show the range of possible concepts available at a different width. As you can imagine, there's a lot more options and things that we can do where there's a much wider section than in the more narrow areas. So here's an example of the different types of alternatives we're looking into and gathering feedback on. This example here shows concepts that would fit on a 70-foot curb-to-curb section as the existing condition. Options at this width could include center running configurations, curbside bus lanes, which repurpose parking, and offset bus lanes, which repurpose a general travel lane. On the detailed materials posted to the project website, you can see versions of these types of concepts for each width that substantially occurs on all 5 of the corridors, along with the relative impacts of each design in the main categories we talked about earlier, such as parking impacts, general traffic impacts, etc. So to wrap it up, here's the part where you can get involved. At the public meetings we held last November and December, over 120 people attended an in-person meeting, and almost 160 joined the virtual public meeting that we had. However, for anyone that wasn't able to join, we have posted all the meeting materials, including the concepts and proposed alternatives for all 5 corridors, and posted a recording of the entire virtual public meeting as well. Finally, we created a Menti activity and survey on the project website for anyone to provide project feedback. The Menti includes a more detailed version of the information I just covered just now, and is designed to be taken by anyone, even if they have not reviewed other materials or listened to a presentation or one of the public meetings, but it can also be a way for those of you who have already engaged to provide additional feedback. The survey will be open through the end of this month. And at that time, when it closes, we'll incorporate all the feedback received thus far through the public meetings, focus groups, and the online feedback, and dive into traffic analysis on the preferred concepts. So be sure to visit transitchicago.com/better streets for buses, #corridor. I know that's a lot, but we can share that via email. And also would like to ask you guys to spread the word to your networks about doing this Menti activity online and getting into the meeting materials, because we really want to hear from as many voices as possible to make this project successful. All the materials on the website and in the survey are in English and Spanish. Additionally, if there's you guys or other folks in your contacts who don't want to go through the survey process and walk through that, the email address that you see on the screen, betterstreetsforbuses@transitchicago.com, is monitored by me and my team. So you can shoot questions, comments there at any time that we'll incorporate. Or if you prefer to call, you can call 1-888-YOUR-CTA, and those comments will be directed our way as well. Just to wrap it up, transit is the most equitable, environmentally friendly, and efficient way to connect communities in Chicago. So, we're really excited to be working with CDOT to make this project a success. And the more input and support that we can get from the community, the better off we'll be set up to, bring this to final design and construction after the study is complete. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. I know we're almost right on time, but we might have maybe time for like one or two questions that you may have for Jason. So if you want to just to make it, chime in or raise your hands and we call on you. Or you can also write it on the chat if you feel more comfortable, and then we can get that. Alrighty. I feel like there were a few questions on the chat, but since we're running out of time, Jason, we'll just compile those and send those to you, and then we can just, include them in our notes for everyone to check and review.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
Yep. Perfect. Alrighty, so I am going to go back and share my screen one more time. There you go. Okay. Alrighty, so we will skip let's see. Okay, great. So we only have a few announcements before we get to that. So this presentation will be shared with everyone on our Chicago Mobility Collaborative website. And Stephen, if you can just drop that in the chat, that will be great for everyone to see. We'll just, check one last time that all the links are included so you can click and be redirected to the full information of what was included here. And we'll also include some notes. The notes might take about a week or so because we want to include answers to the questions in the chat that we were not able to answer. So just be on the lookout for that. We also send a blast email to let you know once the notes are in there. And the last thing I wanted to mention is if you still have a burning question, want to speak with someone from CDOT, have some ideas, comments to share, don't hesitate to email me. We can set a one-on-one conversation, or I can get you in touch with the right person to address, your concerns or issues or questions. Okay, with that, I just want to move on to a few announcements. This is our first meeting of this year. We have 3 more happening, one in April, one in July, and one in October. The locations, you have the dates both on the slide, also on our website. The locations are still TBD. We are in conversations with a few partners, including University of Illinois in Chicago and also Austin coming together. So we'll keep you posted on the final locations for those meetings and also the agendas on what to address. And my one plug on this. If you have interest in partnering with CDOT and our extended partners like CTA in co-hosting, we're also collaborating in any CMC conversations for the upcoming meetings, feel free to reach out as well. Email me directly and we can have more conversations about that. And then just make sure we include whatever topics that you are interested in addressing or addressing with CDOT. Alrighty. We also have a, CMC feedback survey, so you can right now just scan the QR code on the screen. There also will be the link to the form on the slide. So that's another follow-up that we would appreciate your feedback after this meeting on your ideas, concerns, and also interest in partnering with us in upcoming meetings. So make sure you include that information and your information as well if you want us to follow up. But this can also be anonymous. Alrighty, another on the topic of partnering, we also always looking for partners. One specific partnership that we've had, or the one type of partnership that we have in the past, is through social media. Recently, we partnered with Chicagoans That Bike. To put together, we're working on a few videos. The first video is this part one of speaking about DV and introducing the new general manager for DV and just having conversations with them. So again, if you have any ideas, interest, if you have a web page or would really want to partner on social media content, just let us know as well. That's something that we're interested in. Another way of partnering with us and our team, our engagement team, would be through our SAFE ambassadors. As Stephen mentioned at the beginning, the SAFE ambassadors is our engagement arm of CDOT in education. And we conduct different programs throughout the year. That's also a great way if you work at a school or any community center, community organization. We're always open to partnering with all of you. You'll find the forums on our website to request our assistance or to request a meeting to speak about any potential partnerships this year. And then finally, make sure you follow us on our socials. Here they are. Please engage with the content, provide comments and questions as well. That's a good way for us to continue this engagement and collaboration offline, or I mean, online, but offline, this type of conversations or meetings. Alrighty, and lastly, thank you for your time. We wanted to be mindful of everyone's time this evening. Please stay warm and safe for the next few days. I know it's going to be very cold, so please be safe when you are on our streets and commuting. Again, as a reminder, my email is on this slide. You can also find it on our website. We'll try to keep the communications going between the meetings. So this is not it. We want to continue engaging with all of you. If you have any questions, feel free to email me and I'll make sure to, again, get the right answers or the right people that can answer your questions or address your concerns. And yeah, finally, our meeting notes will be published on our website in the next few weeks with all the questions. And hopefully you have a safe rest of your night.